2022 has been, so far, an incredible year for games, and when it comes to mobile devices, to be quite frank, as opposed to consoles and PCs, it gets even better. Hello everybody and welcome back to Mobile Game Zone. Today we're finally going to be taking a good look at perhaps the biggest MMORPGs to be released and have been released for the past couple of months on Android and iOS devices as well. So without any further ado, let's do it. At number 1 by Netmarble, developers of earlier games like Ni no Kuni, Lineage, the Marvel Future Revolution, tons of goodness that came out in 2022. With us here now, Seven Knights Revolution, a brand new MMORPG in the series, not to be mistaken with Age of Heroes, and also will technically following the traditional style of the Seven Knights, and this time around featuring boss fights, PvP, and also set a really high-end realistic aesthetic. Here's a trailer, guys. Seven Knights Revolution is available to be pre-registered right now and due out only 24 hours from now. Coming up behind that, we have Tower of Fantasy with technically over 3 million pre-registered players ever since only yesterday. Well, for those of you new, an upcoming online RPG, technically open world MMO, and a PvP focused game set hundreds of years in the future from our timeline, but taking place on a different planet called Ada or Ida or something. And as you can see, pretty similar to Genshin Impact in core gameplay. Check it out, the game's on its way to the mobile devices we're here in about a few months from now. Number 3, and to be quite frank, this is such a blessing and a curse at the same time. We have something going on here called Miram. It's coming from a South Korean developer and actually released around the same time last month. See, Vanguard and Vagabond, which is also the full name for this game, is available for PCs with crossplay support, and in case you're wondering, the sequel to a very old game that came out nearly 20 years ago. Well, check it out. Miram is only available in Korean, and a global version of it is under development and set to be released by the end of 2022.
fight for the queen.
On the other hand, we have dragonheir Silent Gods. Well, technically a party-based MMORPG and all about player freedom, so obviously the game's story progresses through non-linear missions and side quests as stated by developers, and also a hefty dose of pretty unique puzzles to solve as you go through this dice-based gameplay, pretty much like Dungeons and Dragons in some semi-real-time strategy combats. Check it out, dragonheir Silent Gods will be running a few tests soon we hear and releasing early to mid 2023. At number 5, and this has actually been in the making for a year now. Well, coming up we have Odin Valhalla Rising, some of you might have been already familiar with, but for those of you wondering, yes, previously titled Project Odin and now in development for all platforms, be it the consoles and the mobile devices, as a fully open world Norse mythology inspired action RPG. Technically this is how the final game's supposed to look like. The good news is you can actually pre-register the game right now, and rumors has it it'll be releasing by the end of 2022 as a fully free-to-play game. Check it out.
아무런 실마리도 잡지 못했단 말이오. 돛을 끌어 올려라. 그래, 미치넥토록 하라. 끝없는 싸움이 될 것일세. 하지만 염려하지 말게. 신께서 우리와 함께하실 것이니.
Coming up behind that, and I've actually mentioned this one probably just a couple of days ago, Noah's Heart will be now released July 28th this year, with pre-registers available right now as an MMORPG self-described by its developers, next generation open world, and actually one built with the Unreal Engine 4. Also, in case you're wondering, yes, from the same developers of dragonheir, one of the greatest of all time, which we're going to mention actually later. Well, check this out, the game's set to be fully free, and this is how it really looks. At number 7, and this has been around since earlier this year as probably one of the best free-to-play MMORPGs and over 500,000 downloads already. Dynasty Legends 2 is, as you can see, an action game with ARPG elements at its core, and pretty much as most games in Koei Tecmo's lifetime, a hack and slasher. The game's sitting on the Google Play and the App Store with really good reviews. There's one problem: the game will take you about almost 4 gigabytes of space. This is actual gameplay. Take a look.
We have to reform and create a new order! The fate of Han is doomed! Why don't you join me before it's too late? Jager!
At number 8, this perhaps one of the most talked about MMORPGs since the new updates. We have here with us, I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with Tales Noir, a pretty interesting blend of various genres to begin with, be it the story-driven, the MMO, and the adventure, in addition to the old city-building thing thrown in for good measure. A great game as far as I'm concerned, however, still needs some bugs to be worked out, lots of maps to go through. It's got lots of activities, got a really interesting combat system, and everything about this game is just on point. Check it out. Well, it's free. It'll take you down about 1.2 gigabytes of space as well. At number 9, and honestly this is just a reminder for the series' fans, just in case you have missed out on the opportunity to maybe let it down, we have Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds as an MMORPG mobile game based on the company's Level 5's famous anime IP, which is graphically just one of the most gorgeous games to have been released recently, but generally one of the hardest games to pick up and play, mainly because it's a bit complex, it gets laggy, and it's got really busy servers. If you could get past those 3 problems, you will have probably the perfect MMORPG for months to come, and last but not least, it's free. Take a look. At number 10, sitting on the Play Store with over 10 million downloads since release, we have Evil Lands online action RPG, which is probably one of the most fine-tuned MMORPGs of the past decade, with some stunning 3D graphics, the character classes, upgrades, skills, loots, items, it's got co-op, you name it. It's a very basic game, not to be forgotten, but nothing boring, mainly because it gets a ton of online service on a daily basis. And if you like MMOs, well, technically because this game is free and it's got really good reviews, you should at least give it a try. Anyway, take a look. Moving on, we have actually here with us with only 1,000 downloads on the Google Play Store since a month ago, an action RPG monster hunting, basically one of the few Souls-likes that's available on the mobile devices, the one and only game Jager Hunter Legends. As you could probably tell, a very action-oriented game, and one where you get to fancy to choose different fighting styles. Frankly, I don't really think there's much to talk about with this one, except it's a really good game, it's free, and it's got mad potential. Just check it out if you haven't yet.
たとえ人類が滅びるとしても、九竜の意志は決してここで終わらない。
At number 12 by Kuro Games, we've got here the anime-style action RPG that came out way first around the same time last year, going by the name Punishing Grey Raven, and now just actually completed a year since its launch. A game that was downloaded over 20 million ever since, and very well received in terms of actual gameplay. Technically, this is just a friendly reminder for those of you who have never gave it a shot, developers of which just announced a Nier Automata collaboration with this game, adding a new 2 GB of space patch and a ton of new content to go with. Take a look.
受け取るばかりなんて柄じゃないし。
ずっと待っていましたよ。出発しましょう、指揮官。
At number 13, technically speaking, the third installment of its saga of MMORPGs that came our way very recently. Here we have with us New Origin 3, which is a fully open world RPG, only this time around you will even be able to fast travel to technically anywhere on the map and through air. Here's the thing, New Origin 3 actually does now incorporate improved gameplay, graphics, and also then includes new characters in addition to a new story. The game's free and it's sitting on the Play Store with a north of 500,000 downloads since May this year, and this is how it really looks. Alright guys, moving on. Well, technically this is just a quick reminder for those of you who have missed out, and we just got a new trailer for this thing. We have, on the other hand, Dragon Hunter's Heroes Legend, which is another MMORPG that came out April this year and is sitting on the Google Play and the App Store with really good review scores to begin with. Check it out. Well, this is how it actually looks like.
Dragon Hunters. Download now.
Coming up behind that at number 15, we have here the one and only Sea of Dawn. Well, on a need-to-know basis, this game's sitting on the TapTap.io with over 9.5 review scores out of just basically what the people think about this game. As a free-to-play exploration-based MMORPG announced, well, technically 2 years ago, and for the premise, well, setting you against the backdrop of a great voyage where you'll discover what mankind has done throughout the history. Take a look. Sea of Dawn is undergoing a beta testing in China right now and set to be released probably worldwide by the end of 2022.
嘿，这边缺个人手，来帮我一把。你是喝多了吗？记得离漩涡远一点儿。 是怎么回事？幽灵！冷静点，这里肯定有什么奇怪。
Moving on, we've got, once again, Chimera or Chimera Land, actually one of the biggest sandbox MMORPGs released for the past few months. Great for anyone who's looking for a shift in tune and just tired of the old RPG formula, since it actually does come with a lot of different elements to the regular RPG role-playing elements. The diversity is what's really crazy in Chimera Land, be it the world itself or the monsters. Pretty fun to play, of course. Could use some gameplay improvements, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, it's free to play and you can play it with friends too, so consider it.
Greetings, friends. I'm John Gust, one of the founders at Stormhaven Studios.
If you haven't heard of Emberzaddrift yet, see, this is just a quick mention of a 1-minute video that explains pretty much everything you really need to know about the MMORPG in the making, and the fact that there is a beta taking place really soon. Just take a look at it here and make sure to visit the website down in the description for further updates along the way. Check it out.
Deliberate and challenging at every level, with meaningful progression that you can feel as your character grows. Moment-to-moment decisions in combat can swing the tide of battle towards victory or defeat. Be prepared for exciting exploration, intriguing discoveries, in-depth crafting, fierce battles, and grand quests as you adventure with your allies. Our beta servers are open now for testing. Visit Emberzaddrift.com to join in the adventure. Thank you.
Coming up behind that, at number 18, and due for release we hear in about a month from now, as a free-to-play huge MMORPG, we have something going on here called Untamed Isles. To be specific, a monster hunting and taming turn-based MMORPG. Honestly, there ain't a lot to talk about with Untamed Isles, except there's multiplayer, it's got taming, fishing, just everything. Check it out just in case you have a PC. The game is coming over to Steam with an early access release really soon. At number 19, and this is after precisely 2 years since the first game came out, we have here now the second installment to the pick up and play hack and slash action RPG, not so much of an MMO, Labyrinth Legend 2 now, with roughly only 1,000 downloads since a couple years ago. Actually one of the coolest randomly generated dungeon crawling games to have been released this month, with a really fun and smooth gameplay and just the cutest pixel art graphics to go with. The game's free, will take you down only 100 megabytes, and it's awesome. And last but not least, we have dragonheir, one of the highest quality MMORPGs in today's list, which is sitting on the Play Store with over 5 million registered players since a couple years ago, and technically using Unreal Engine 5 for the core gameplay. Then somehow even manages to run pretty smooth too. Dragonheir, if you should know, has one of the biggest open worlds out of any online game, with a good emphasis on story, and honestly, if you'd ask me, I would say there's nothing I'd really want to change about this one specifically, so take a look.